Hello listeners, how are you doing? Welcome back to Luke's English Podcast. Hello video viewers if you're watching this on YouTube. Hi there. Welcome back to the podcast. This is episode 800 and this is the third and final part of episode 800. Okay, now let me explain. I'm just going to try and explain here and also try and explain why there's been a delay between part 2 and part 3 here. And also to explain why this is the final part of this series. I'm going to have a bit of a ramble. You'll see from the title that this one is called Episode 800 Ramble. So the listener Q&A part has been removed. And that's because, well, I've decided I can't do any more listener questions. Okay, I'm sorry about that. I'm very sorry if you sent in your question and you've been eagerly waiting for me to answer it in this part, or maybe part 4 or something like that. But let me explain, okay? So what happened was I recorded part 1 and part 2 of this. Oh God, when was it? Nearly 2 weeks ago now. Recorded them in the same day. And then, not the next day, but the day after that, I promptly fell ill with a really bad case of flu. That's influenza. Okay, I got a really nasty case of flu. I also got a horrible chest infection. That means a lung infection, which I'm still recovering from now. In fact, I'm still recovering from flu. Now, influenza, it was the real thing, like the proper flu, not just a bad cold, but a really nasty dose of flu. And if you've had influenza, then you'll know what that is. It's not just a bad cold. It's not just a cough and a bit of a headache, but it's the sort of thing that completely knocks you off your feet. So I don't want to go into all the details because you don't really need to know, but I'll tell you what I feel like I'll tell you enough detail just so that you understand what's been going on. So I got flu. God knows how I got it. It wasn't COVID-19. I had a test and everything. It wasn't COVID-19. It was just old-fashioned influenza. You know, the stuff, you know, the thing that we used to get sometimes in the winter. It's still there, of course. I know everyone's on about COVID all the time, but flu is there going, yeah, I'm still here, you bastards. So flu got me, and yeah, horrible. I don't know. I feel like I've lost about 10 days of my life. I don't know quite where it went, but when you get flu, it's very powerful. You have a high temperature. You get really horrible chills and pains in your body. So I would take paracetamol. There's not really anything you can do. No medicine you can really take to get rid of it because it's a virus. But you take paracetamol. The doctors recommend that you have paracetamol, which counteracts the symptoms. Some of them, it sort of reduces your fever and things like that. So typically what would happen is if I hadn't taken paracetamol, then I would be freezing cold, absolutely freezing, and just shivering uncontrollably, like like that. Couldn't do anything other than lie down in bed. Horrible pains, needles in my body in different places, and lots of other symptoms too, like dodgy stomach. Then I got the horrible lung infection, so a horrible nasty cough. It's still with me a little bit. I've had 5 days of antibiotics, so I'm basically okay now. I feel so much better. But yeah, that was 2 weeks ago and I'm still only just feeling better now. My wife also got it like the day after me. So the two of us were completely knocked out. We still had our daughter, who is nearly 5 years old, to deal with. Just deal with our daughter. I mean, to look after. And that was difficult because we don't have actually many other people around who could like step in and help us out. We called a few favours from friends to help look after her. It was difficult to take her to school. Neither of us could actually really get up, let alone go outside. So my daughter spent, when she couldn't go to school and when someone else couldn't look after her, she spent just too much time just sitting watching TV, you know, which is, I never like to let my daughter watch too much TV, but we didn't really have much of a choice. Anyway, you get the idea. Horrible case of flu, which completely knocked me out. And that meant I lost a good deal of time. It's something like 10 days. And there was, a weekend and stuff as well. But certainly all of last week, wasn't able to do anything for the podcast. The plan was that I would continue answering that big list of questions from listeners. But sorry, not possible. And now I don't really have that much time left this week before we go to the UK for the Christmas holiday. So I have enough time to do this. I also recorded yesterday an episode with Stephen from Send 7 podcast, something we'd planned to do ages ago, something we had to keep rescheduling because I still wasn't well. And so we recorded that yesterday. That is a 2022 World News Quiz. That's going to be published really soon. But not really enough time to properly finish episode 800 in the way I intended to. So if you sent in questions, as I said, and you were hoping to hear me answer them, sorry, not this time. It's just not possible. I'm sure you understand. I think you understand. I think you know. Okay, so I've decided I had to reduce my workload this week. And also, we've got lots of stuff to get ready before going away. I think you understand. I'm not complaining or anything. I'm just explaining. I mean, I still, even though I've just had a horrible case of flu, I still feel pretty lucky because there's lots of other people out there who, have it much worse than me. So, these aren't complaints. I'm just explaining what's been going on. So there you go. All right. That's what's been going on for me. I'm just kind of coming back to life now, trying to remember how my brain works. When you've had flu, there's the physical stuff, but also sort of messes with your head as well. It can make you feel quite depressed and quite sort of sad and confused and a bit paranoid, just staying in bed all day, just wondering if I just got flu, is this just flu or is there something worse? Is it, when my chest infection kicked in, I was really worried. I was thinking, oh my God, I think I'm really seriously ill. I think I've got an overactive imagination and I get a little bit carried away with myself in those situations. But thankfully, it was just flu and I'm feeling a lot better. Right, it's time to stop talking about all that stuff now and just to try and carry on with this episode. So it's episode 800 part 3 ramble. So I'm still going to do a bit of a ramble here. There's a few things I want to talk about. For example, I want to just mention some stuff about the World Cup because people have been expecting me to do a World Cup episode. That's not going to happen either. Again, I had the best intentions. I wanted to do a proper episode about the World Cup, but just couldn't, obviously. And I was there in bed as the World Cup was progressing. It's now the 20th of December. Obviously, the World Cup's finished. So let's say on the subject of the World Cup, obviously, congratulations to Argentina. Any people from Argentina who are listening to this or watching this, then congratulations. Well done. Third time you've won the World Cup now. You got it. You got the hat trick. And Lionel Messi, he did it. You did it, guys. Congratulations. Incredible. And what an amazing final it was. We did watch it. We did manage to watch it, and it was almost unbearably tense. Also, England got knocked out as well in the quarterfinals. I'm over it now. It hurt, of course, but I'm an England fan. I'm used to it. I'm used to England getting knocked out, probably because of a penalty problem, which is exactly what happened. I don't feel too bad about England. I think that we had a pretty good World Cup compared to some others in sort of recent memory. I think we did all right, really. That's quite promising. We've got a young team, lots of talent in the team, lots of potential, and it's just, Harry Kane missed a penalty, which is probably what did it. That's probably why we couldn't come back and beat France. Fair play to France. Ultimately, you did the job, you got the result you needed, and you progressed. But talking about England, I don't feel too bad about it because I think that there was lots of good football being played by the side, and maybe we got a little unlucky. I don't know if there even is such a thing as luck. But I mean, Obviously, Harry Kane should have scored that penalty. He missed the target. I mean, you know, if it's a penalty kick, you've got to try and get on target. You can't miss the goal completely. Sure, if the goalkeeper stops it, that's one thing. But if you just completely miss the goal, yeah. So I have to say, my heart goes out to Harry Kane, because that's the sort of thing that's going to stay with him for the rest of his life now. You know, like when Harry Kane is in bed with flu and he can't rest and he feels terrible, and all of the sort of terrible memories from his past come back, that's going to be something that haunts him forever, isn't it? So I wouldn't wish that upon anyone. So I have sympathy for Harry Kane for what happened. I'm not one of these people who's like, you know, I'm not going to throw abuse at him. It must be incredibly hard to have to take a penalty in the World Cup. There's so much pressure. I know they get paid a lot and they're professionals, but still, that's got to be tough. So England got knocked out in the quarterfinals against France. I was disappointed, but it's okay. So then I started supporting France, because obviously my wife's French. I live in France. And France got to the final. Wow. And so the final was a gripping event. The first 70 minutes of the game were, from a French point of view, terrible. You know, Argentina played much better than France. They controlled the game, scored two decent goals. I'm trying to remember now. One of them was a penalty, wasn't it? I don't remember. But it was an extraordinary game where, you know, Argentina were winning, France were completely finished, and then, you know, Didier Deschamps, the manager, made a few changes to the team, quite big changes, taking away two of the biggest stars of the team and replacing them, completely changed the strategy, and it actually seemed to work. And eventually France crawled back to a 3-3 position. Just incredible, really. Mbappe worked really hard, and 3-3, and then it went to penalties, and of course, as we know, Argentina managed to keep their cool, and they got all their penalties on target. They scored them. Did they score all of them? I'm trying to remember now. But anyway, ultimately, Argentina, well done. You won football. You are the best at football. That's it now, isn't it? Is that it? Is football finished now forever? That we've worked out who's the best. It's Argentina. No, it's not finished. It's going to start again. Okay, well, until next time, Argentina are now officially the best. Well done. I could talk more about this, but I'm not going to. What else do I need to talk about? Nothing else, really. Maybe what's coming up on the podcast. As I said, so there is one other episode coming for sure between now and January, and that is the 2022 World News Quiz with Stephen from the Send 7 podcast. So Stephen came up with 20 questions, 20 quiz questions about world news from this year. And he asked me those questions. And so that's a chance to, have a bit of a quiz, a fun quiz about the news, but also to discuss some of the events. And obviously it's been a year of crisis, controversy, and all sorts of other things. So anyway, we got the 2022 World News Quiz episode, which is going to come next. And that's quite long. That's at least the length of a football match with a bit of added time on the end. So you got that. And also, hopefully during the Christmas period, we'll see, maybe at the beginning of January, I do have 3 text adventure episodes to publish. So 3 text adventure episodes as well coming to the podcast at some point. I'm sure there are lots of other things that I feel like I really needed to say. I mean, is there anything that's that important at this stage? Most of you are going, it's okay, Luke, don't worry. We can see you've been unwell. The most important thing is that you rest and look after your health at this point. I know there's one person going, no, I want you to talk about the thing I want you to talk about. Well, I think that's it, isn't it? Is that it? Oh, dear. Yeah. Look after yourselves, everyone, all right? just take care, wash your hands, wear a mask in public, even if there are no COVID restriction rules that dictate that you have to do that. Don't catch the flu. Don't. It's horrible. And don't catch COVID either, if at all possible. Really solid advice from Luke Thompson there. Don't catch COVID. Oh, what? Oh, okay, yeah, thanks, Luke. I was going to catch it. Oh, I shouldn't. All right. Yeah. But that's all I can do for this episode. Okay? Merry Christmas, everyone. Have a happy new year. I will speak to you in the episodes which are going to come. But that's it. Okay? All right. Nice one, everyone. Take care, all right? Have a good Christmas and a happy new year. And speak to you next time. But for now, goodbye. Bye, 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 bye.